Okay, today's an exciting day because we're going to begin printing our portraits. You can see here I have most of mine colored already, and just like some of the examples we saw from Andy Warhol, you can see I'm using lots of different colors because we are doing pop art prints, so these do not need to look very realistic when it comes to the coloring. It gives us a chance to really have fun and get creative. There's a couple things I want to go over though to help your prints turn out better. The first is to maybe work from one side all the way over to the other, especially since we're coloring in the whole background. You don't want to be touching where you've colored because you will leave fingerprints, which will then show up white when we print it. So I carefully started on that background and worked my way over, and now you can see I have this last little bit left here. The second thing is sometimes it's good to kind of turn your portrait as you're working, just to avoid your hand from going on top of something you've done already, especially for people that are left-handed like me. When you are coloring though, it is helpful to use the side of your marker instead of the point. This will put more color onto the foam, which should then make your print turn out brighter and more vibrant. Keep an eye open. You'll notice the colors don't quite look as dark on here because it's not soaking into the foam like it would on paper. But if you see some white spots, just feel free to try to go back over them with a little more color. Our goal is to get as much color on here as possible so then our prints turn out really good. Okay, I just need to do the background here now. You can see kind of in my hair there, all my lines that I carved in, the color will not go to. So you don't have to worry about like trying to shove your tip of your marker inside those lines because that color is not going to show up in there anyways. But you can see when you have some big areas like this, it can go pretty fast. But you don't want to scribble. You don't want to leave any spots white unless you intend for them to be white. Like for instance, the little parts of my eyes there, I want those to be white, so I did not color them. But I don't want to like scribble and leave white spots in an area that I want color, so it's not going to look as good. So just kind of take your time, going back and forth like this to get lots of color onto that foam. If you get a spot that has color that you don't want it to, you can either just take your finger and wipe it off, or even like a damp paper towel. Okay, this is where it gets tough though because I don't want to put any fingerprints. I want to get that last little part. Okay, once you have it all colored like I do now, then you're going to bring it up to the printing table. Now if you're doing this at home, you just need to remember two things. You need to first of all use a marker that's washable, like a Crayola, Crazy Art, charcoal, those types of markers. And then the second thing is your paper needs to be damp, not soaking wet, but just take a sponge or a damp paper towel and go over your paper a couple times like this. You'll notice the paper will get a little bit darker, sometimes maybe even have a little shine to it. You just want to be careful not to get it too wet, because if it's too wet, your colors will kind of bleed into the paper. It might get a little blurry. Oops, it's curling up on me. But if it's not wet enough, then it's not going to show up very well. So there, I got mine. It's a little bit darker. So now I need to just very carefully flip my printing plate over, line it up the best I can, and now I just want to make sure to hold it in place while I print. So I'm using what's called a brayer, this special roller here, but if you were doing this at home, you could use a rolling pin, you could use like a wooden spoon, you could probably even just hold it in place and go over it with your hand like this too. The main goal is just that you hold it nice and still when you're doing so. And then you just need to make sure that you roll over the entire picture. So I'm pushing down really hard, making sure I'm not moving my plate. And then we'll be ready. So here comes the reveal. 3, 2, 1. And there you have it. There's my pop art print. Now the cool thing is I can set this aside to dry, and then I can take my printing plate, take a damp paper towel, wipe it off, then dry it, and I can color it a whole new way. Maybe on this next one I'll flip it and do my hair blue and my face red. You decide, but don't worry, you won't be able to get rid of all of this color on these lines. Just a quick wipe will do. All right, have fun.